Okay, so we're on the farm today, and I'm gonna do a little video on how to check some adjustment points on Pro-tocast. This could apply to motorized or manual. This is an 18-inch. It's just a mock-up of what our 18-inch looks like, but I've already set it up for failure so I can demonstrate how to easily maintain it. So probably the only question we ever get really is, why is my rotocast turning but the plate's not going? Well, when we build these, they're fully assembled for the most part, and when we ship them, especially with motors, we don't like to leave the motors tight or the gears tight because that jostling can strip them. So we leave them a little loose. Of course, in the instructions it kind of shows you, but it's better to demonstrate it in the video. So on this particular machine, we use two wrench sizes. That's 9/16 and 1/2 inch. The only other thing you'll need is a Phillips screwdriver, but not in this particular instance, or in these three instances that I'm going to show you. But all the machines are the same. They operate the same. This is just big compared to the 12. So the first thing we're going to do is pretend this is out of the box. We're going to check for the tightness. And you don't want to be doing this with your hand if you have a motorized. If you have a manual, this is fine. But before you do any of this, you want to make sure that this is loose so you don't strip the belt and so you don't strip the gears. So this is free flowing. And if this is the case with you, then we'll start with the motor. The motor has 2 points that you can tighten it with, and chances are, if your motor's turning or it's on, but your rotocast or your plates aren't spinning, then these two nuts are loose. How you do that is you take 2 1/2 inch wrenches, hold one, turn if you're facing that way, clockwise, and tighten them against themselves just like that, about as hard as you can get. Now this won't move because now the motor's tight, and when the motor's turned on, it'll be tight again. If you want to check the motor but without loosening the belt, you can use this screw here to untighten the coupler, and then these 4 mounting screws, and the motor will come right off. Piece of cake. That solves 99% of your issues. The second thing, and probably the most important thing, is the alignment of the gears. When it comes out of the box, it may be aligned for us, but like I said, when we loosen this up, and especially if you were to put a load on here, say a big mold, the weight can shift these gears. So before you do anything, you want to turn the machine upside down and you want to look at the alignment of the teeth. Right now, obviously, it's not aligned very well. They need to meet, obviously. So what we're going to do is I've set this up to look like this because this is pretty common, where the teeth will loosely meet, but not fully, so your plate's not turning all the way. So what we want to do is, from the up position, we want to make those teeth meet. So we're going to take our 9/16. Now this is on the 18. On the 12-inch, it's 1/2 inch, but on the 18, we're going to use 9/16. And we're going to take our 2 hex nuts here, our jam nuts. We're going to hold one of them because these are tightened against each other, so that we can hold this bolt still, or this rod still, excuse me. And then we're going to push this gear here, that towards the other gear, until they line up. And if we have to, we can loosen that up a little bit. And when you see that inner plate start turning, you know that they're getting there. the other adjustment points over here, if you want to bring that over here. So say you're at the end of your rod, well, then you just turn this, and that'll bring this rod that way or this way, depending on which way you turn it, to further mesh these gears up. So that's what we're doing. We want to tighten that nut up a little bit so we can get that. Right next to it. Now we got gears that are completely lined up. Teeth, get around here. Now we got teeth that are interlocking. See that? So we want to lock that in place by taking our jam nut here, and while using the rod holders, just tighten that right against each other. That way this nut doesn't back out. That's if you have one on there. Sometimes we don't put those on there. It depends on how much space we got. But if you don't have one on there and you have space, put one on there. A lot of people make a lot of adjustments to these machines, a lot of modifications to either hold more weight or go faster or slower or who knows, any myriad of things. And of course you're welcome to. We ship them out to do a certain thing, but if you need them to do something else, then I'm sure there's many online forums. You can mod your machine and make it do whatever you want. All right, the last thing that, let's loosen this up. Say you're turning the machine, you've already checked this and you've already checked make sure the gears are aligned, but it's still not turning right. Oh, I'm using the wrong space. So we're going to loosen that up so we don't turn the motor when it's not on. But say this is all lined up, but it's still not going right, still not going smooth. The inner plate's not moving. Well, there's one more point of adjustment, of tightness that you can check, and that's the lower pulley. The lower pulley could come loose if enough weight's put on, enough torque's put on it. And how you want to fix that, pretty simple. On this machine it's 2 9/16, but on all the other machines it's 1/2 inch. You just, now on this I set it up to be loose, of course, so it's just kind of free flowing. But I'm going to tighten this jam nut down against that lock nut until I get to a snug, and then I'm going to tighten it down the rest of the way with using my jam nuts here. So it's nice and tight. And that's it. Now you have a nice interlocking gears, nice and straight, not going to back out. You have a tight lower pulley, and on the motorized versions, this one's not going to be tight because I'm going to turn it, but you'll have this tight, plug it in, that's it. Now, because of COVID, we've had to go with certain kinds of motors, and some of them work really well and some of them don't. So we test them before they leave, but it seems like over time some of them don't, on the 18s I'm talking about, don't do very well. So we're gonna see if we can get some other motors and send them out. But so this is what your machine should look like every time you turn it on. Of course, if this was a manual, this is exactly what it would look like. If it's a motorized, it's probably not going to go this unsmooth because I'm turning it by hand. But you get the idea. In any event, so if all those points are correct and your belts are nice and straight, your arms are nice and straight, this bolt's turning nice and straight, and there's no orbit to it on these 18s or the motorized, then you are good to go. But if you have any other problems, just email us and we'll try and answer or give you a solution as quick as we can. The internet's not that great out here in Texas. We'll be back to the city soon at some point. Anyway, have a good day.